have been in spiritual spaces or maybe money mindset spaces, you may have heard of a concept called an energetic container. However, you may be confused about it, or in worst case scenarios, which is what used to happen to me, it might just totally stress you out and give you anxiety. So in this video, we're going to be explaining what an energetic container is, how it shows up in your life when you're trying to manifest your dreams, and how to actually expand the container so that you don't sabotage when you start getting what it is that you desire. Hi, my name is Amanda Abeo. Welcome to the Mindful Success Path. On this channel, we help high achievers, high performers, business people, and really anybody who wants to live their best life get what it is that they desire without all the extra stress and drama that most humans are accustomed to. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And shout out to all the new subscribers. We've been getting new subscribers every single day on this channel. Shout out to you guys, and shout out to those of you who've been commenting. And if you would like to take what we're going to be talking about in this video to another level, I have a free manifestation guide that you can download below. In it, I explain the 4-step process on how I've completely learned to rewire my mind to help me get what it is that I want. So for example, in 18 months, I went from a near bankrupt, single for over a decade, very stressed out female entrepreneur to in 18 months traveling full-time, living in other countries, engaged to be married, the love of my life, and also now starting to run businesses that run a lot more on autopilot, and we're back to making 6 figures. So if I could go from losing it all to getting everything that I ever wanted in 18 months, then you can too. And that free guide, which you can download below, will help you figure out the steps that I took and the process that I underwent and the process that I continue to undergo every time I want something new. And you can get that totally for free below. So in order to explain what an energetic container is and how it shows up in our lives, I want to share a story recently from my life. So a couple weeks ago, Justin and I had a really big week. Everything was expanding all at the same time. We hit records in the business in terms of sales and cash collected. We were really expanding spiritually because we're taking a lot of workshops and classes here in Mexico. Our community keeps growing. We're getting married, so we were preparing for that. And then in addition to that, we have all these opportunities that keep showing up to us here in Mexico. So everything was just kind of moving all at the same time. And there were also a couple of social events that same week. So all this energy of expansion just kept moving and moving and moving. And it was an energy of expansion in every single area of our lives. Now, you would think we would have been thrilled, and we were extremely grateful. But Sunday rolls around and suddenly we're both feeling kind of anxious, and we're both feeling a little tired and out of sorts, and we can't quite pinpoint why we're feeling that way. So I went back to the house and I started journaling about it, and we're like, what am I feeling? What's going on here? And I go on YouTube and I find something about energetic containers. Now, I had heard about this before. I was familiar with the concept. I actually interviewed Gay Hendricks, who basically invented it. He just calls it an upper limit problem. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, we're feeling anxious because everything's expanding all at the same time. So our brain and our nervous system is kind of trying to readjust, right, to this new way of living, this new level of expansion, and receiving more in really big ways, not just in one area, but in all areas of our lives, all at the same time. So once I was able to realize I was basically having an upper limit problem, as Gay Hendricks calls it, or a container issue, as some other people call it, then I was able to actually calm down and relax and receive more. Because up until that moment, I'm like, why do I feel stressed? Why do I feel anxious? Everything is going great. Yeah, there's a lot of energy moving around, but everything's amazing. Why do I feel this way? The reason I was feeling that way was because my nervous system was adjusting. Because like most people, I was not raised to receive everything that I desire, especially not all at the same time. Like most people, I've been conditioned into hard work, struggle, grind, everything is difficult, addiction to suffering, like most of the world. So imagine having that programming, like all of us do, for decades, and that's been your experience most of your life, and then suddenly things start shifting and changing and moving in a whole different way, and things are growing and expanding in major ways in your life. Your brain will start coming to kick in because your brain is wired for survival, not for happiness or success or fulfillment. It's just wired for survival. That's it. Just wants to keep you alive. And it's going to be like, whoa, 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 this is not what I'm used to. Hold on a second. Mayday, mayday, mayday. So that's essentially what was going on. And that's why we were feeling anxious. And that's why sometimes when people start getting what it is that they want, sometimes that anxiety takes over and they'll sabotage because they feel so uncomfortable. And the thing to remember here is that the discomfort isn't actually the problem. We think there's a problem. We are liable to be like, God, something's wrong with us. What is wrong with us? Why are we feeling this way? I don't feel well. Well, I don't feel well, so maybe I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do today. That's what most people do because they don't realize that they are just reaching limits. They're reaching their emotional set point for what it is that they are able to receive in their lives. And here's the thing. Imagine some people have like a little teeny weeny Tupperware container like this big that they will allow into their lives in terms of receiving, and others have like a dumpster truck size full of, or a shipping container. Have you seen how big shipping containers are? They're huge. Or a shipping container, or a cruise ship size container that they will allow into their lives. And everybody's different depending on what they've been conditioned into, how much work they've been doing, and all of those things. So the first thing I want you to realize is when it comes to expanding your energetic container, you first have to see where your energetic container currently is. Now, there are ways of doing this, right? You can do meditations. You can find them on YouTube, and you can kind of feel your way into it. Right now in Mexico, we're doing a lot of work around reading energy and things like that. So you could find videos on YouTube, and you can kind of see where your container is. Other things that you can do is you could just look at your life, and you can see, okay, do I feel comfortable receiving? For some people, it's a hell no. They don't feel comfortable receiving. They feel like they need to reciprocate right away. And for women, that's most of us, by the way, because that's what we've been conditioned and trained into. We think that if somebody does something for us, that we owe them, without realizing, especially men, without realizing, right, that maybe people want to give to us because they want to give to us and it makes them feel good. So we first have to measure where our own energetic container is. And you can look at your life. How comfortable are you receiving things? Can you receive to a certain degree, but then once it gets past that degree, you're like, no, I can't accept that. I need to give it back, or I need to do something in return. Really pay attention to these things. So that's number one, right? So if I were to look at my life now, and granted, I've been doing a lot of work around this, so I've been getting better at it. Sometimes it happens at really random moments. Like Justin bought us an at-home sauna and a jacuzzi for the house. And I was sitting in the jacuzzi and I was having this moment where I was feeling really uncomfortable, like almost near panic attack, if I'm being honest, right? Where I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to get married. I'm in another country. I'm living out a dream. The businesses are starting to do really, really well, almost on autopilot without me having to work as hard as I used to. I have this amazing man who adores me, and I almost started having a panic attack, right? So pay attention to, and then I realized what was going on. I was having an upper limit problem container issue, and then I realized it, and then I leaned back and I enjoyed the warm water in the jacuzzi, and was like, okay, yes, you've earned this, you've worked for this, you've manifested this, you did all the work that you had to do internally and externally in order for this to actually be your life. But what comes up in those moments, and this is what I'm asking you to pay attention to, what comes up in those moments is how that was never actually modeled for me ever in my life. What's coming up for me in those moments, this doesn't happen to me anymore. It used to, but for some people it shows up as guilt. Like, oh no, I shouldn't be enjoying this because one of our teachers here in Mexico said this. She goes, please leave the children in Africa alone, is what one of our teachers said. to us, because a lot of people will be like, no, I can't enjoy this because like there's kids in Africa that are starving. And one of our teachers was like, leave those damn kids alone. Leave them alone. So, but for some people, they start to feel massive amounts of guilt when they start receiving. So pay attention to that in your life when you feel very uncomfortable receiving. And awareness is the key, right? Because as soon as you become aware of something, then it doesn't have as much charge over you and it doesn't have as much control over you. And this is what emotional mastery is about. So for me, once I have the realization of what is going on, like, oh, you're hitting your limits of your energetic container or your emotional set point, or you're hitting an upper limit problem. It goes by all these different names. Then I'm able to chill, and then I just breathe into it, right? And then I allow myself to receive more. Another thing that you can do in those moments is you can do what I did. I went to go journal. I've done breath work in those moments. I've done meditation in those moments to help with those uncomfortable feelings and help me kind of integrate into this new life. Those are things that you can do as well. And another thing that you can do is you can actually do what a lot of people call a pleasure practice. Now, some people think that's sexual, and it can be if you want it to be, but it's not just that. A lot of that has to do with your second chakra, right? So the ability to, when I'm pointing to this, because this is the symbol of the second chakra, and that's a carnelian there. So it has to do with the second chakra. And the second chakra is all about pleasure. It's about creativity. It's where the sex organs are. It's also about shame and guilt. So if you have a lot of shame and guilt, there's an area there that you have to work. And when it comes to receiving, a lot of people have shame and guilt because that's what we've been conditioned into. So one of the ways to counteract that I have found really helps in my life and allows me to receive and allows me to expand the energetic container is to prioritize pleasure. Now, for most people, this is excruciatingly difficult. We were literally having a conversation about this while we were enjoying the jacuzzi on our roof last night. We were literally having this conversation where we were like, oh my gosh, most people would not allow themselves to even take an hour or 2 hours to spend with their partner or enjoy something luxurious, whatever that means to you. Most people would never prioritize the time to do that because most people are constantly running around wired for survival and reacting to everything around them. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to start prioritizing pleasure. It could look like whatever you wanted to, okay? For some people, it's literally sexual things, sacred sexuality, conscious sexuality is what I would recommend there. For other people, it's let me sit in a sauna for 10 minutes. For other people, it's a hot tub. For other people, it's a morning routine where they have time and space in the morning to do what it is that they want to do. For other people, it's painting or music. For other people, it's nature. Whatever it is for you, determine what pleasure is for you, and then make a challenge for yourself where you are going to prioritize your own pleasure for 30 days. And this is something that I started doing when I started trying to expand my own energetic container, because again, it was never modeled for me. All I ever saw was sacrifice. All I ever saw was struggle. I didn't see people taking care of themselves. I saw people surviving, which is what most of us have seen in our lifetime because most people, that's what they're wired for and that's what they're conditioned into. So create a pleasure practice where you spend 30 days prioritizing your own pleasure and what feels good to you and what brings you joy. So focus on that for 30 days and watch it completely change your life, and also watch it completely expand your energetic container. And while you're doing that pleasure practice, pay attention to when you feel uncomfortable. And rather than running away from it or stopping it or sabotaging, which is what most people do because they're not aware of what's going on, now you're aware of what's happening. Now you realize that you're just reaching a limit or an emotional set point. And that awareness is huge because once you have the awareness, like I said, you can stop, and rather than running away from it, you can lean into it. You can lean into it and allow yourself to receive more. Now, for some of you, this is going to be very easy depending on how much work you've done around receiving energetic containers, upper limit problems. For others of you, it's going to be a lot more challenging because you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I can't even take a compliment. And for a lot of you, that's where you are. You cannot even take a compliment, or it's very difficult for you to ask for somebody to do something for you. So all of you are going to be on different ends of the spectrum, and it's all okay. There's nothing wrong with you. If you're like, I can't even take a compliment, that's how most people are. They're like walking around like this, you know? If that's you, it's completely fine. So start where you are and commit to that 30-day practice. And then little by little by little by little, you will expand that energetic container, and you will start normalizing what it is that you get to have in your life. And it might seem like a really tiny thing, like, oh, let me give myself an extra 5 minutes in the morning, or maybe let me take an art class. Might seem like a tiny thing, but you would be surprised at how it starts to, number one, it's going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to trigger the hell out of you and bring up all the stuff about how you should be working, you should be sacrificing, you should be doing stuff for everybody else. You need to hustle, you need to grind. So either that's going to happen, which is likely to happen for some of you, in which case that's what it is that you need to work through. And I definitely had to go through that myself. Or the other thing that's going to happen is you're going to little by little by little start expanding and normalizing what it is that you get to have. So that is how you get to expand an energetic container. It's awareness and practice, really, at the end of the day. And then being conscious of what is going on, and when you're feeling uncomfortable receiving things, and then easing into it and working any of the limiting beliefs that come up as you are going through this. If you do this consistently, you will expand that container and you will be able to hold more. So one of the reasons why people feel overwhelmed sometimes, it's not because there's anything bad going on, it's because there's actually a lot of good stuff going on and everything's expanding all at the same time, but you're not able to hold it. So in doing this, you're training yourself to be able to hold more of what it is that you desire and hold it more easily. And the cool thing is you can just keep expanding, 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 and expanding. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. Make sure to download that manifestation guide below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.